Everybody. There's another interesting study, worrying study about the behavior of Antarctica under various global warming scenarios. And you can see it in this diagram here. At the top, 1 degree centigrade, 2 degrees centigrade. Okay, this is our Paris limit. 4 degrees centigrade and 6 degrees centigrade. And what this diagram shows is how much of Antarctica melts initially. So this is the retreat phase where the ice sheet melts. But then if we then bring a climate change under control and we reduce the amount of CO2 to the limits of the Paris Agreement, okay, what you find is that even in the 1 degree phase, sea level will still rise. Okay, Antarctic ice will still melt. So what happens in 1 degrees is you lose sea level rises by 1.6 meters due to just Antarctic ice melting. This is not including Greenland. But then if you bring climate change under control down to back where we are today, 0, then what happens is sea level will continue to rise. And this is what's called a hysteresis effect, because it's a result of positive feedbacks in albedo largely, okay? And these results are observed both in model studies as well as in what we call paleo studies, or behavior of the ice sheet in previous times, especially 125,000 years ago when we were in the last interglacial period, and sea level rose dramatically. And I'm going to include at the bottom of my message today a reference to a study that looked at sea level rise after the 125,000 interglacial period. Okay, so let's go to 2 degrees centigrade, which is our Paris Agreement. So we go 2.52 meters with this temperature rise in the retreat phase. And then in what we call the regrowth phase, when we actually reduce CO2 emissions back down, sea level will continue to rise as a result of Antarctic ice melting. And then the really dire phase is if we actually don't get any control on CO2 emission, 6 degrees centigrade of global warming, we have a 12 meter sea level rise initially as a result of Antarctic ice melting. But then when we bring CO2 levels down, sea level will continue to rise back up to 33 meters above current sea level. And you can see in this situation, there's a lot of bedrock exposed in Antarctica, very little ice left in the middle. Okay, this is a pretty scary scenario. So the bottom line is, it looks like Antarctic ice is not going to regrow. Okay, that's a result of this investigation. But it's a much rosier scenario if we can keep CO2 levels to under 2 degrees. Okay, because then we're only looking at down the road a 6 meter sea level rise, which is still really significant, pretty bad. But if we go beyond that, then we're looking at massive sea level rises and serious issues for coastal regions of the world. Okay, so I'm going to put the abstract below this message. I'm going to post another study, and it's pretty sobering, and it just continues to be sobering.